Yeah.
It's George.
It's Elaine.
Come on up.
Hey, Vinny, listen.
I never heard anything like this in my life. Listen to this.
This is exciting! This is exciting! Huh? Did I miss anything already?
Kramer, get in.
Where's the crazy man?
Hey, sit down. Come on, it's about to start.
Hey! And welcome to Seincast, a retrospective on all 180 episodes of Seinfeld, being hosted by two guys who can barely run their own lives. My name is Vinny.
My name is Matt.
Hey, man! How you doing?
What is going on this week? This music is... It's just ruining the entire episode for me.
I hope somebody got fired for that.
I don't think anyone got fired, right? When we get into trivia, I think it was some of the the top guys. It was their decision to change the music.
From what I read, Jonathan Wolf employed vocalists for the music cues used in this episode, and they were never used again because there was such a backlash, and rightfully so. This, of all the things that are wrong with Seinfeld, and there are hardly any, this is probably number one on the list. I'll say
atrocity.
That right now. Yes. It's not broke! Don't fix it!
Well, I guess we have a little bit of Seinfeld news to talk about.
Sure.
Hey, I got news for you.
Great news. All right, I got news. You ready?
What?
It's weird. Every time we record the show, something relevant to Seinfeld happens, like the day after.
And then we're always a week behind.
Yeah, pretty much. But last week, Jerry Seinfeld posted the trailer for the next season of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you watched this yet. Did you?
I thought we already talked about this last week.
Well, that's the one with Michael Richards. This is the one with like Jimmy Fallon, Amy Schumer.
Oh, then I didn't see this either.
Oh my God.
So this is news to me.
We're not prepared. Well, I'm sure by this point, most of our listeners have probably seen the trailer. But it looks really good.
Yeah, it's becoming so polished now. It's more like an actual show versus just a couple cameras mounted on a dashboard in an antique car.
Yeah.
So, but again, what I love about it is Jerry is doing what he loves on his terms. So he had the show on NBC where he played himself. Now he's doing a show where he just talks comedy and life with friends, and he's doing it his way. And he likes coffee now, so it's all good.
And have you watched all the episodes?
I think most of them. I've seen pretty much all of them.
I've only seen season 1, so
it gets really good. Although I was listening to another podcast, Pete Holmes. Haven't talked about him in a while, but he says he finds it most interesting what the celebrities order, and they don't show that. They hardly show what they order. But isn't that fascinating to know to see what Alec Baldwin orders or what Aziz Ansari gets for breakfast? Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing.
They're just like us.
We're going to do a podcast on comedians in cars after Curb and Veep and Fired Up and the Michael Richards Show, and I'm missing one. Watching Ellie, Dustin Checks In,
Trial and Error,
New Adventures of Old Christine. Yep,
Problem Child. But anyways, let's get on with the show. Vinny, what episode are we discussing today?
We are discussing the first episode of Season 3, The Note, written by Larry David, directed by Tom Sharonis, and air date September 18th, 1991.
And for everyone listening, Vinny and I are following the episode order on our DVDs, which might contradict the air date order or most online guides. We've reached a point where our order coincides with the air date order.
Oh, good.
Things kind of got mixed up around Season 2, but just to be sure, we recommend everyone pick up Seinfeld on DVD. But if you prefer not to, we'll include our episode order in our show notes. So, Vinny, exciting, right? New season.
Yeah. Rejuvenation, regrowth, all that crap. I'm a little bit sad because, as you know, the first 3 are my favorite, and the favorite, 3 of we always break the Seinfeld seasons into thirds, and the first third always, warmed my heart the most. And I'm a little bit sad because even just in the opening stand-up, you can see it looks a little bit, the clarity's a little bit better, it looks a little bit more polished. Mm-hmm. And I think we both alluded to this when we talked to each other over the weekend, that there's a couple things that are standing out in the opening stand-up that make it look different, noticeably different. So it's making me a little bit sad that we're veering out of the little basement TV show that Jerry likes to describe it as.
Yeah, it's really apparent, and it's kind of hard to put your finger on exactly what changed, because this season just aired 4 months after season 2 finished. So it's not like it's a whole year later or 6 months later. This is relatively the same time.
So again, we had in season 1 we had a pilot and 4 episodes. And then season 2, there was 13. Okay, and now what are we going to have in season 3?
I don't know. I think 22.
Okay, 22 or 23. But now they've actually gotten a full order for an entire season.
Yes, this NBC announced its fall schedule for 1991 and 1992 on May 20th, 1991. So that was just as season 2 was finishing airing. Seinfeld was scheduled to air Wednesday nights at 9:30. To kind of put you in the in the time period, this was following Unsolved Mysteries and Night Court, and it was right before Quantum Leap. So
I liked Night Court. That was a good show.
Yeah, I liked Unsolved Mysteries. Wouldn't it be kind of cool to watch Seinfeld with those shows before it?
Yeah, get like a 90s. That should be a thing that people do, is let's have a 90s lineup night. Let's do a Wednesday night 90s marathon.
What's really interesting to note before we get into the episode proper, though, is as we remember from last week's discussion of The Deal, at the end of the second season, Jerry and Elaine had renewed their, romantic relationship with each other, which it was forgotten by the start of season 3. The writers decided that the romance wasn't working because it changed the show from being about 4 single people to just 2.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jerry necessarily had to do this, but apparently during the summer, during the off season, when he was on the road doing stand-up comedy, he would, bring it up to the crowd if TV Jerry and Elaine should stay a couple. And apparently there was an overwhelming response of no.
That's interesting that the audience had the same sentiment towards the relationship as did the writers. Because the average TV watcher, I would assume, would want to see the two, main characters get together. But per Jerry's research, they did not want to see that.
Despite having a lot in common and despite being good friends, Jerry and Elaine aren't soulmates. They're not meant for each other. They're meant. I think you actually put it this way last week, or maybe during a conversation when the mics were off, that they are meant to be friends. You know what I mean? That's sort of who they are. Yeah. Why mess with that? I
do like that the breakup is not even mentioned. They're just the first scene that they're in together. They're just on the couch talking, and Elaine actually gives him a little bit of a dig.
Oh yeah,
which we'll talk about, and it's awesome.
Sure.
But yeah, they don't even need to mention it. So I like that as well.
I think the only time it gets brought up this season is in the pen, right, with Jerry's parents.
Right.
And I wonder, since I'm not sure where that falls in our episode order, but I don't think we get to it for another 4 or 5 episodes. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that was sort of in response to NBC saying, hey, we need to address this at some point. This weird character development from last season.
Yeah, weren't they together at the end of the season?
Yeah.
But clearly the NBC executives did not know what the show needed, So it seems like they let up on the reins a little bit as each season went on and allowed Larry and Jerry to have full creative control, which made it a better show, as we'll see.
Now, getting into the episode itself, I feel like we love talking about the inspiration for any episode. This was a Larry David written episode, so everything you see here came from his own neuroses and insecurities. I was a little disappointed to find out that the male massage, as we'll see later on, didn't come from Larry's life.
Oh,
I know, that would have just been fantastic. But he has admitted that he certainly had the fear that if a man touched him, it would make it move, and that would make him gay. And something that they bring up on the DVDs that Vinny and we watch before we have our discussion, during one of the interviews, they refer to the penis as it throughout the show. He took it out. I think it moved.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of censorship. They pull back. They don't. I think that's kind of what makes the show a lot funnier. They're
not even saying the word.
Not even saying the word. Larry even commented that, especially during these earlier seasons and likely throughout the entire show, that they sort of worked the censors the way a coach works the referee. in that, they make a big stink about the stuff to get them to give in on other things that they really wanted.
I remember this.
Yeah.
So if you complain about some stuff earlier on in the game, they'll be more liable to call a ball a strike or vice versa later on.
And I'm having these erotic conversations with sensors on the telephone. I'm going, I need the 5 breasts. And, well, I can't give you 5 breasts. I can only give you 3 breasts. Well, what about the penises? Well, I could give you 1 penis. And so and I'm beginning to have like sexual fantasies now about the censor, who I'm conversing with every week about this kind of material.
Only Larry would have that thought, and then also would voice those thoughts.
Well, how about we get started, Vinny, with our first episode of season 3, The Note.
Let's do it.
And every time somebody recommends a doctor, always the best. Oh, is he good? Oh, he's the best. This guy's the best. They can't all be the best. There can't be this many bests. Someone's graduating at the bottom of these classes. Where are these doctors? Is somewhere someone saying to their friend, you should see my doctor. He's the worst. Oh, yeah, he's the worst. He's the absolute worst there is. Whatever you've got, it'll be worse after you see him. Yeah, it's just he's a butcher. A man's a butcher. And then there's always that, make sure that you tell him that, you know me. Why? What's the difference? He's a doctor. What is it? Oh, you know Bob. Oh, okay, I'll give you the real medicine. Yeah, everybody else, I'm giving Tic Tacs.
I didn't even hear the stand-up because I had my fingers in my ears from that POS intro.
So, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. Maybe we get into more specifics here. So, stand-up aside, good stand-up, right?
Good stand-up, yeah.
Really strong Jerry material.
And I too would like to know who's graduating at the bottom of these classes of doctors, because you never hear that. You only hear of somebody being the best, but there are the worst out there.
Oh, yeah. I think Jerry sometimes is doing his best when he takes just a saying, of a very common saying, and looking at it from a different angle or just flipping it around. But let's talk about this intro music.
Yes, let's do that.
We addressed a little bit of it at the top of the show, but to get into specifics, before this episode aired, Jerry Seinfeld called Jonathan Wolf, who was the one that came up with the Seinfeld theme. I think the last time we talked about him was during season 1, right?
Probably the pilot. To transition from the pilot music to mail and bonding.
Jerry wanted to see what they could do to give, quote, a sparkle to the music. Jerry had heard, some group scat music, and he described it to Jonathan Wolf, and this is what they came up with, the theme for this new season of Seinfeld. And it's a shame because they don't use this track at the end of the episode, so there is no...
oh, you're right, they don't.
There is no, track of just this. It unfortunately will always have Jerry's comedy on top of it.
Let's leave it that way. There doesn't need to be a track of just that.
So apparently, they tried this music. Jerry liked it. Larry liked it. They finished the episode. They locked it. They applied it. They added it to the intro for the next couple of episodes. And then here we come to September 18th, 1991. This episode airs, and all of the NBC and Castle Rock executives heard it on the air for the first time and were really surprised by it. Apparently, it wasn't a favorable reaction. I think it was probably a reaction like we have, Vinny. So Jonathan Wolf had to fix it for the next couple of episodes by going back to the old theme music. It's kind of funny, though, that something like this can slip through the cracks, You just forget to ask for permission.
You would think it's something as tightly regulated as a TV show where all these checks and balances are in order. Something like a change to the theme. Well, maybe because they, who's going to change a theme song in season 3,
Yeah.
So... and of all things to change, I'm surprised Jerry would always pride himself in saying we didn't worry about the titles of the episodes or what the synopsis was. We just cared about funny. So the fact that he requested Jonathan Wolf to come up with something to add sparkle, that kind of shocks me.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wonder if you get sort of a not bored with the material, but you just want to kind of stretch your wings creatively.
I do like how each season, following, they'll change the logo, the opening logo that you see. So I like that. And I love how in season 9, it's a checkered flag, as if they're finishing the final lap of this amazing race.
That's actually season 8.
Excuse me. Sorry. Botch.
No.
I'll see myself out. Thank you very much.
It is also interesting to note that Julia Louis-Dreyfus wasn't particularly happy with the new theme either.
And that's why I love her.
Well, apparently she said that they had a bunch of girls singing the theme music, and she says they weren't singing this, but it sounded to me like they were singing Easy to Beat.
And isn't that what we always say when we sing this? So what are they actually saying for one?
I always assumed they were singing Easy to Beat, and it made no sense.
Yes, and we always would joke about that. Easy to beat, you know.
I think it's just scatting.
Okay.
And
More like
and for whatever reason, yeah, we hear Easy to Beat, but apparently a lot of people did. Julia goes on to say, at the time we were failing in the ratings, and I was convinced they were saying Easy to Beat. So now they're out, and now we're the number one show. What is that?
Yeah, they're pointing fun at, hey, we're doing so poorly, we are so easy to beat.
Yeah.
That we're going to put it on our opening theme song so you know. This show is easy to beat.
You know what's worse, actually, than this opening theme song, I think, are the little, when you come back from a commercial break and you get like a little stinger at the top of a scene, an establishing shot, and you hear them go, "Hi." Yes. Ugh. Nails on a chalkboard. I normally do not get this passionate about something in the show, but this bugs me. You know what? If I ever meet Jerry, that's what I'm going to... I said, how could you do that, you know? Anyway, have we beat this horse to death? I think so. How about from now on we never bring up...
Stop it. If you ever want to piss me off, you know what to say. A couple other things, though, that jumped out at me during the stand-up. If you look, right when they fade up on Jerry... There's some smoke. It looks like they got a little smoke machine going.
Oh, really? You're saying someone's smoking probably in the audience?
Perhaps it was smoking. I thought it was a smoke machine. I don't know why there would be a smoke. Maybe you're right. Yeah. Oh God, this is bad. Moving on. Jerry's outfit. He's no longer wearing a suit jacket. He's just got the baggy, billowy dress shirt, and he's got the most quintessential '90s tie, where it's multiple patterns. There's a little bit of a checkered print. There's a red part. It just all is thrown together.
It's like all the Seinfeld logos threw up on his tie.
There you go. Exactly. Good one. And the intro music. And then I also noted that there's a new angle where it's as if somebody's in the front row looking up at Jerry, and you can see the rafters. You can see the stand-up wall, and you can see where it ends. I actually sent you a still of that in the email. So it's kind of a little peek behind the curtain, or above the curtain, or to the side of the curtain.
It is interesting that they are kind of changing things up just a little bit. They're trying new things. Well, not that dramatic. It is breaking sort of the pattern from the first two seasons. Mm-hmm. All right, our first proper scene is at a physical therapy office. I'm jumping ahead, but they never mention the physical therapy office by name. I see on the door, though, when George leaves later, it's kind of reversed, but I read that it said Wilkes Jennings.
Oh, good pull.
So Wilkes-Jennings Physical Therapy. So
now, would that be fair game for a trivia question? Because I bet at least one person would get that. Yeah. But that'd be so unfair to throw that
every
out.
1,000 Seinfeld fans, there's one person who has memorized every single detail of every episode.
I want to be friends with that person.
Right. So Jerry's getting a massage from Juliana. He's making chit-chat when, Jerry randomly asks what the worst part about being blind is. So it's like, right out the gate, we're getting those. Is this a Larry thing or a Jerry thing?
This one's hard to say.
I would say more Larry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess.
Just kind of like a random topic that you bring up out of nowhere.
This subject of dating a blind person, or not dating, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. This subject of discussing the blind actually comes back in the lip reader when the gang debates over who they would rather date, the deaf or the blind.
Yes.
So it's something that kind of comes back. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Well, in this case, Jerry says that he thinks the worst part would not being able to tell if there were bugs in his food. He'd be constantly feeling around with his lips and his tongue. I don't object to this joke, but I don't really find it that funny.
I would think it'd be shaving would be the hardest thing as a blind man. to be like, did I miss a spot? Is there one long hair that I just can't get, and it keeps growing? That
I think it would be the
my
fact just being blind in general.
That's true.
But I know.
Don't worry about all the obstacles you have to overcome. Think about bugs in your food.
You know what I actually find funnier about this, and maybe that's the point of the joke, is not so much, oh, that's so silly that you would worry about there being bugs in your food, but just how random this joke is.
Yeah.
For Jerry to bring up out of nowhere. And he is such an observational comedian that this is probably how he finds his material, or how he would test out his material.
I couldn't actually get over that Jerry didn't allow the conversation to resolve of its own momentum or volition. He just kind of launches into this blind topic, you know?
He's in his own world.
Yeah.
Well, throughout this whole scene, he's pretty... he's not thinking about Juliana at all.
No.
As the conversation goes on to be about her 5-year-old son, and Jerry then brings up about a kid being kidnapped in Pennsylvania. It's funny when he's like, he was at the carnival with his mother. She gets a hot dog. Next thing you know, she turns around. Boom. He's gone.
He's gone. Good. There's a little comedy delivery there.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe it's because Jerry isn't seeing her expression, but he just keeps going and going and digging himself a hole. Later on, he'd say, I made one innocent comment. He didn't make one innocent comment.
Multiple.
Yeah, he kept going to the point how, sick someone would have to be to do that. Those kind of people are everywhere. He could be one of those people.
Yeah, I could be one of these people.
And I love the line where, and it's so, this is innocent, but he asks, who watches your son during the day?
Yeah. We have a sitter. She had references. He proceeds to poke holes through everything she comes back with.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the people that forge him.
Yeah, exactly. So we've talked about in the past how sensitive Jerry is to other people's feelings and just...
As is George. I can always tell when somebody's uncomfortable in a conversation.
Right. They screw themselves over from time to time, but I would say up to this point, Jerry is very... I think he's pretty considerate for the most part.
He's a nice guy, Jerry, still.
Maybe not to George and Elaine, but definitely to strangers.
Yeah.
Or people he knows, like Juliana. So... I just am, so I'm kind of giving him a pass here just because he's not seeing her expression, but he should know from the tone of her voice that he's digging himself a hole.
He should have more sense than that.
Yeah.
Juliana is played by actress Terry Hanauer. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. When I first saw it, it's spelled Hanauer, but I pronounced it as Hanor, which I thought rhymed with manure. And, I don't know, gave me a little chuckle.
We're firing on all cylinders
Yep.
here at Seincast. Interesting to note, though, that someone else auditioned for the part of Juliana. Someone we'd go on to see, Deborah Jo Rupp, who plays the mom.
She plays Kitty in that 70s show, and she is an absolute delight. Love her, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she would come back on Seinfeld as Katie. In the back of my head, I always assumed she was Jerry's manager, but she's not. She works for Jerry's manager. She's kind of like a wrangler.
I thought she was I called her an assistant. Is that accurate?
Yeah, she's an assistant to the general manager.
Oh, there you go.
But she would show up, just a handful of times in the Diplomats Club and the Abstinence.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see her in this role, though.
Yeah.
She's sweet, a little... She's motherly.
I do like her better as Katie, though. I mean, having seen both, I think something about her voice makes her so distinct that she's better off as being a character that's more annoying versus a character who is troubled or afraid of things that Jerry is saying. So I like the way they utilize her. And she's awesome as, like, she was tailor-made for Eric's mom in that 70s show. I know you're not a huge fan of it. The first couple seasons of that show are just incredible, so highly recommend that one.
Next scene is at Jerry's apartment. Hi.
No,
I don't know if we get that, but Jerry is explaining to Elaine what happened with Juliana while George is, looking through an empty fridge for something to eat. Elaine mentions here that she doesn't like to talk during the massage, and neither does Jerry, but he does it because he figures, they're bored. George goes on to agree, saying, I feel guilty about getting the pleasure. I feel like I don't deserve it. It stops me from doing it. And we got to talk about this here.
Yeah. Have you ever had a massage?
I have. I've had several, and...
It was a girl?
Yeah. But I'm not having a guy massage me.
Oh, look at
No,
you.
just kidding. I've actually never had a guy massage me before. Not because I'm insecure or anything. It just okay. But anytime I do get a massage, I make sure it's not like a soft massage, like it's
Deep tissue.
yeah, it's really tough. So in theory, a guy giving me a massage would make more sense.
Because they're said to have stronger hands. Or be
In
able to get
theory,
deeper.
stronger hands, but
But if you're working as a masseuse or a masseur, your hands are going to be buff.
yeah,
You get pretty
for
buff
sure.
forearms.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've only had one massage my whole life, and it was recently, the past couple of years, and I could not stop thinking about this episode and these scenes. So I did feel compelled to talk. It was with a guy, and it did not move. And
Did you take your pants off?
yeah, I had like a towel. I think I had my underwear on as well. It's get undressed to your level of comfort.
Yes.
So I was comfortable to my boxer briefs.
I've never known someone giving a massage that would grab your pants and pull them.
with vigor.
I don't think that happens. I do really enjoy this little bit from George, though, and I feel like we're really getting into Larry David vis-a-vis George, how he feels guilty about getting pleasure, feels like he doesn't deserve it, stops me from doing it, and Vinny, even at our age, we're still guilty of doing this. Like I've felt this way since I was a kid. Like I always feel guilty if I ever am feeling good about something. I don't deserve this. I should start feeling bad about it.
Well, I think of when we're at a restaurant and there's something wrong with my order, I feel guilty sending it back because I don't want to inconvenience the waiter or waitress. So I'll just be like, it's okay.
There's nothing to eat in here.
Oh, I forgot to tell you.
I'm in the middle of a story.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Why don't you ever go shopping?
Well, it's not like it's a really funny story or anything.
What happened?
Well, so she mentioned that she had a son. And then for some reason, I launch into the story about the kid from Pennsylvania who was abducted.
Oh, wasn't that terrible?
Yes, it was.
Not even an apple.
She doesn't want to hear that. That was stupid.
I know it was stupid.
Really stupid.
Hey, I just said it was stupid.
What about this leftover Chinese food?
Take it.
I can't believe you said that.
Hey, would you stop it already?
So, what'd she say?
I don't know. She actually seemed to get a little paranoid.
This is terrible. What is this, ginger? I hate ginger. I can't understand how anyone can eat ginger.
There's just this beautiful bouncing back and forth from character to character.
I agree. I looked at it more of as you have two characters engaged in a conversation, although Elaine is more interested in telling her story. Hers sounds more exciting. But then you have somebody in the background complaining or muttering to themselves, and it's peppered in while Jerry and Elaine are having their thing. Mm-hmm. But that seems to happen a lot, and it really is a recipe for funny.
Oh, yeah. But I feel like in this, even though we've seen this sort of back and forth come up in the 18 episodes prior, I feel like here it's a very well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. I just think it takes a lot of talent to be funny, even though it feels like we've barely moved forward at all.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I would assume that this scene, for example, probably took, 2 pages of dialogue, just with all of the back and forths.
Yeah.
And we haven't advanced the story at all.
Right. It's all trivial stuff they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And they're circling. They're circling right now, but it's funny. Mm-hmm. Jerry says, I launch into this thing about the Pennsylvania kid, and Elaine says, well, that was stupid. And that's a genuine thought. It's not her trying to, poke at Jerry. That was a stupid thing to do. Yeah, I know it was stupid. Really stupid. He's like, will you stop with the stupid?
Elaine, and we can get into this later, I think she's a little more aggressive this episode than usual. Like, that comment was stupid. Even though she is being truthful, she's got a little, fire to her, more than I feel like we're used to.
Yeah.
Almost like she's upset with Jerry.
Well, there may be a reason for that.
It could be.
Ho-ho. This is the first scene that they're together post the deal.
Right.
So there's not, that could be the tension.
If you wanted to, somehow retcon this and assume that Elaine is still upset with Jerry for the breakup, but still wants to be his friend, I think Julia brings a certain kind of delivery here that could...
It could be interpreted in that way if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you also notice that, in particular, Jerry and Elaine, they look in better shape and they look more tan? If you go back to just look at the deal and then look at this, they look healthier overall. I don't, like there's I know every season the characters come back and they always look a little different, but that stuck out to me seeing as we just saw the end of season 2 last week and we're starting season 3 this week.
I am noticing though in this scene especially that I didn't think it started this soon, but Jerry has a little mullet growing.
He does, yeah.
I thought that didn't show up really until season 5 and 6, but there's a little party in the back.
That's when it gets out of hand though, is season 6 and 7, I think.
Elaine tries suggesting a new masseuse for Jerry, but he likes Juliana because she's a physical therapist. She uses an ultrasound, and if you get a doctor's note, it's covered by insurance.
George's ears perk up, and he just, what? It really,
Oh, totally. He's very excited. And Elaine and George want to know more about getting this note, and Jerry suggests he could probably get one from his friend Roy, the dentist. Every episode, we have to get at least one new character.
Yeah. Do you know what he was originally called in the script?
No.
He was originally called Lloyd in the script, and then they changed it to Roy in rehearsals. But if you look at the closing credits of this episode, you'll see that they never bothered to change it. So the actor Ralph Bruneau is credited as Lloyd in the episode, although he's called Roy.
Ah, Lloyd.
Matt, did you happen to notice what George was eating? Because I could not make it out.
Well, I noticed the big jar, and
it's
I assume
huge.
It's a jar of maraschino cherries.
It looks like jam or preserves to me.
Next scene, we're back at physical therapy. We're in the waiting room, and a receptionist is giving Elaine and George some forms to fill out and says, Elaine, you'll be seeing Juliana, and George, you'll be seeing Raymond. We're getting back to this homophobia sort of thing with George.
We got cheapness, and we got unconscious homophobia coming out.
Oh, you think he's unconscious? I think
he's probably conscious.
He knows
because he talks about he doesn't want to sit boy or girl, boy in the car. It looks funny, man sitting next to man.
I don't think we want to label George as a homophobe and equate that to him being a bigot.
No, not at all. It's insecurity with himself.
Yeah, he's insecure himself. He's afraid. He's not afraid of gay people. He's afraid of being gay, if that makes sense.
I can't get a massage from a man.
Why not?
What are you, crazy? I can't have a man touching me. Switch with me.
No, I don't want the man either.
What's the difference? You're a woman. They're supposed to be touching you.
He'd just be touching your back.
He'd just be touching your back, too.
No, it could get sexual.
I know. That's the point. If it's going to get sexual, it should get sexual with you.
I wouldn't be comfortable.
I would? What if something happens?
What could happen?
What if it felt good?
It's supposed to feel good.
I don't want it to feel good.
Then why get the massage?
Exactly.
George?
Yes?
I'm Raymond.
Hello?
It's another classic back and forth. This time it's between George and Elaine.
Yeah.
But they're just bouncing off each other, and it's so good. It's like tennis.
It's so funny how during the revenge we noted that the first scene between George and Elaine at Lasky's bar when they were planning to give Rick Ludwin the Mickey, that's the first George Elaine scene. Starting this podcast, I assume we'd be noticing all these first, like, oh, this is the first, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But even though this is the second George Elaine scene, it seems like they've always had this. Like,
yeah.
And maybe it's because we have another 169 episodes in our memory of them having scenes together, but it just is amazing how natural this scene feels and how good Julie and Jason are working off of each other.
The actors will comment in the commentaries that they're kind of sorry they didn't have more time on screen together, but the time we do have is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's funny because they actually play against this dynamic in I forget what episode it is, but when they say they relate to each other through Jerry, so then they get nervous about Jerry not being in the room, but they work that up, even though right here, they seem perfectly comfortable with each other.
It'll be interesting to note leading up to the dog episode, which I think is actually just an episode or two away, that George and Elaine never share a scene that's not about, something moving forward. Like they're on a mission to slip Rick Ludwin and Mickey. Here they're on a mission, so to speak, to get a massage. Like, it's not like George and Elaine would ever get together for a cup of coffee to see how they're doing. And I think that's sort of the pressure they put on themselves in the dog episode. Like, oh, we have to actually
well, she said, I wanted to talk about that. We have nothing to talk about.
Yes.
So
without George having a guy giving him a massage, I wonder if he and Elaine would really have anything to talk about here.
Yeah, you're right. Now, before we go on, I always like to point out the actors who are in the show this episode. The receptionist at the physical therapist office, her name is the actor's name is Flo DeRay. The only thing is to note that she was in Mighty Joe Young, and that'll prove important later on. And she also does voice work on Star Wars: The Clone Wars. She's done it for the past 6 years. She plays Jocasta Nu. I don't know.
Really?
Do you know who that is? Is that a popular character?
She's the Jedi librarian.
Oh, cool. Raymond, played by actor Jeff Lester. And I think that is just the perfect casting choice. This tall, Swedish-looking guy with blonde hair, flowing, good shape, and just perfect casting. He actually hasn't acted since 1982.
Wow.
No more credits, but he did go on to produce and direct things in the 2000s. So yeah, I really like how Raymond puts his hand on George's back and kind of guides him toward the room, and George flinches, and Elaine is just tickled when she sees this. Raymond's towering over George, and Elaine looks up like a little girl, but she's just so giddy that George has to go through this unpleasant situation.
To talk about, Raymond's arrival here, that it has to be one of my favorite shots of George, how they frame Raymond's butt and his groin on the left side of the screen, and
eye
George
line.
is just staring at it. So we go to Raymond's room at the physical therapy office, and Raymond is he's touching and rubbing. And he's actually being a really nice guy.
He's very personable.
He's not taking an advantage of George or being unprofessional. He's just doing what he does. He's a masseur.
Yeah, but there's something about so he swings his leg on the table to kind of get a better angle at George's back, I guess. But every movement that Raymond makes, George is aware of it, and he gets even more tense.
Yeah.
And as he's doing this, Raymond says, "I used to be a flight attendant." And I don't know what that is, but there's something about the profession flight attendant that makes it more funny.
I think there was kind of a running joke that most male flight attendants are gay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's if you were to play that joke now, I don't think it would carry any weight, and I don't think it would be funny. I don't really know how long they got some mileage out of it. They sort of had a similar joke in The Simpsons when Marge's dad was a flight attendant.
That's right.
And there was great shame with it.
No!
Yeah. So, this is one of the, I think, few Seinfeld jokes that, to me at least, maybe I'm a little hypersensitive. It just doesn't do it for me. But you find it funny though. I mean,
I didn't get there's some I couldn't put my finger on what it was. But if they said, "Oh, I used to be a librarian," I'd be like, okay. But the fact that it was flight attendant, it went with the character.
Yeah. You were kind of interpreting a different joke from it, which works,
yeah.
It's funny how a joke that dated at this point works on a different level. So maybe it does have a place in this episode. And we kind of ignored this, fantastic shot. This I always will associate with the montage from the clip show before the finale when they're playing the Superman theme, and Raymond just pulls on George's pants and he shoots up.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh. Raymond goes on to ask George what he does, just making chit chat, and George doesn't know, which is true. He might be nervous, but
you're right.
He doesn't have a job.
Good call.
And then Raymond tells George to take off his pants so he can work on his hamstring, but George says it's fine, even though he wrote that it was tender.
How did you hurt this?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
But you just told me.
Korea.
You hurt it in Korea?
What?
The hamstring.
Korea.
How?
Hamstring.
How did you hurt the hamstring?
Hotel.
The hamstring is actually discussed later in season 3 in the limo, and that's George's justification as to why he cannot run away from the limo when they're stopped. he pulled it due to tucked in covers at a hotel. And he was trying to untuck him. He tried to kick him out with his legs, and then he pulled his hamstring.
That goes even to another episode.
Yeah, in the trip, right?
Yeah.
In the following season, George and Jerry are sitting in the cop car, and they're going back and forth. Why do you have to tuck the covers in? And then Jerry makes this wonderful hand motion where he goes, yeah, I know, you have to sleep with your feet like this. And he puts his two hands together, and then he kind of rotates them outward, so your feet have to be completely, I guess, parallel to the ground. But I didn't realize how big, how the gravity of having tucked in sheets was in the Seinfeld universe. Because he even says, he goes, how'd you pull it? Hotel.
Yeah.
So it does pop out that it wasn't a hotel.
That's true.
And then he said, where did you hurt it? And then he goes, Korea. Which, I don't know if you picked up on this. This kind of jumped out at me immediately. Yes, you did. He's nodding his head. That's why I love him. Frank Costanza sold religious relics in Korea.
He had to make a living.
Yeah. The Reverend Sung Young Moon. You ever see that guy's face? That immediately jumped out to me. And I just, even though it's probably unintentional, well, of course it was unintentional, but it's just a beautiful coincidence that he heard it in Korea. His father worked in Korea.
Part of me wonders if some of these things are a coincidence. But then I think it's because Seinfeld has such a tight single vision, because Jerry and Larry were really the ones that all the comedy was filtered through. Mm-hmm. So you had this great vision, which I feel like you don't get in a lot of sitcoms or comedies. And because there's so many people involved.
Exactly.
They really, I feel, at least Larry, really put a lot of himself in the show.
His heart and soul was in the show.
Yeah,
and all the characters. I'll even go further. And I mean, I know like the David Mendel's and the Jeff Schaefer's and Alec Burks, they haven't come on yet, but they even go on to say when they got hired, they were huge fans of the show. So they're, even the writers that will follow come in with this passion for this show, as opposed to it just being a job where they write.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Larry Charles felt this way, and Peter Melman. It was a pleasure to like inject life into these characters. So maybe that's why they're like, let's put them in Korea. Mm-hmm. I don't, who knows? But I sleep better at night knowing that, or thinking that this is related.
Totally. We then cut to the waiting room. This is a very brief scene, but Elaine's sitting in her chair. She's stretching her neck.
Can she look any more relaxed? She's she's like Jell-O right now.
I've actually got some really cool behind-the-scenes photos from this episode that I'll post on Facebook and Twitter. But there's a great one of Julia just, it looks like she's asleep on the couch. And there's a nice like slate board right in the picture. But she sees George, walking out, and she asks how it went, and he just slowly walks out without saying a word. He looks like he's been molested, and it's kind of sad, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, anytime George has the screws put to him, it's funny.
Then we cut to Jerry's apartment. Jerry's on the phone trying to make an appointment with Juliana at physical therapy, but she's all booked apparently. She's booked, Vinny. So George enters looking pretty nervous.
What's with you? Yes,
A man gave me...
Yes, a man gave you...
A man gave me... a massage.
So?
So he had his hands and, he was,
He was what?
He was, touching and rubbing.
That's a massage.
And then I took my pants off.
You took your pants off?
For my hamstring.
Oh.
He got about, 2 inches from there.
Really?
I think it moved.
Moved?
It may have moved, I don't know.
I'm sure it didn't move.
It moved! It was imperceptible, but I felt it.
Maybe he just wanted to change positions, shift to the other side.
No. It wasn't a shift. I've shifted. This was a move.
Okay, so what if it moved?
That's the sign. The test if a man makes it move.
That's not the test. Contact is the test. If it moves as a result of contact.
It's contact? It has to be touched.
That's what a gym teacher once told me.
Now we have back-to-back episodes with classic Seinfeld scenes that are going to be referenced in the pilot.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool that we had the deal, we had the conversation between Jerry and Elaine. What was that look? I gave a look. And now we have George and Jerry, and we're going to see with Jeremy Piven later on. A man was touching and rubbing. So I think this is part of why I love these early episodes and these early seasons so much, because these are classic moments that bring us to the season 4s and you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know, regardless of what you think of the deal and the note, you know, these episodes as a whole, there are just some incredibly classic back and forths between the characters. Mm-hmm. There's apparently rules, you know, it's not a test if a man makes it move. Contact is the test if it moves as a result of contact.
Okay.
First off, that's just ridiculous that that's like the rule, that whether you're gay or not. It's just funny, like you don't think you're gay, but if someone touches you, that apparently that makes you gay all of a sudden. I thought it was interesting, though, that Jerry mentions that it was a gym teacher that once told him that contact is the test if it moves as a result of contact, which...
2 gym teachers come to mind when I think of that. My first thought was Mr. Bevilacqua, the gym coach from the race.
Right.
Who'd you think of?
Mr. Heyman. It's weird. With George and Jerry, I always think Heyman, and that's like kind of when they met.
Yeah.
But I don't think Heyman was their gym coach then. It was probably Mr. Bevilacqua. Mm-hmm. But
it's the best name ever.
It is just weird, though, that it was a gym teacher that told Jerry this. Seems to be a little creepy.
Maybe when George's boxers were sticking out of his gym shorts. Okay.
Kramer then enters and
Kramer
telling Jerry that he randomly saw Joe DiMaggio in Dinky Donuts, but Jerry doesn't believe him and he thinks he goes, you know, to a fancy restaurant or hotel. You know, he's not going to Dinky Donuts.
Now, originally, it was written as Dunkin' Donuts in the script, but then they changed it to Dinky. So now at this point, I would like, Matt, we're going to do another one of these live things that we've done in the past. But Matt, I sent you an email. I'd like you to open it.
Opening.
Is it?
Vinny sent me a link for dinkydonuts.com. It's a real place?
Yeah.
Where?
Detroit, Michigan.
Are you serious?
I think there's 3 locations in Michigan. Dinky Donuts exists. It's a real place. I don't know. I think it was created after Seinfeld came out.
No way you're naming your place Dinky Donuts and it's not from this episode.
Right?
It has to be.
It's an homage. Needless to say, we have to go now.
It was originally supposed to be Dunkin' Donuts, and I assume they changed it to Dinky for, I don't know, maybe they couldn't get the rights or they didn't want to have to pay Dunkin' Donuts, vice versa. Who knows? There's something about the name Dinky Donuts, though, that always annoyed me.
Oh, really?
At least before finding out that Dinky Donuts is now an actual brand. Because it just sounds so, I don't know, it sounds so weird when Jerry's like, but not a Dinky.
Yeah. I hear Dinky, and I feel like it can't be that good, but...
It does remind me a little bit of Merritt Dinkins.
Yeah, that too.
A little bit. You know, at one point during this conversation, George interrupts and he says that he doesn't like to use urinals. He's always been a stall man. You know, he's still in his own, it's almost becoming a reoccurring theme with George. No matter what conversation is happening, he's in his own world. Mm-hmm. And there's that incredible double take from Kramer.
Yes, that is, that always sticks out. It's so good.
It's very improvised,
yes.
I feel like, by Michael in the moment.
Just so you know, the first Dinky opened up in 1994.
Really?
Yeah.
In Detroit.
Located, Detroit, the Renaissance Center location where our adventures began in retail in 1994.
That's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if anyone lives in Detroit or is in Michigan, I'm actually going to be in Ann Arbor in December, so maybe I'll see if I can swing over to Detroit.
There's one in Westland, there's one in Detroit Renaissance Center, and then there's one in Southland.
It's a little frustrating when you're a purist Seinfeld fan when a character will somewhat contradict themselves. And while George confesses here that he doesn't use urinals, he's always been a stall man. Mm-hmm. In 2 episodes, when we talk about the dog, we'll hear that George tries arguing with Jerry that, you know, using a urinal is more fun. This is at a point when they're trying to get Jerry to go out to the movies with him.
I was going to say, my argument would be, you're right, there is a contradiction there. But George says that purely because he doesn't want to be alone with Elaine, because it's awkward. So they're trying to get Jerry out of the house. So that may not be
genuine,
right? Nor is it George's take on the matter. It's George trying to get Jerry to not use the bathroom in his house and go out in public, which actually reminds me of the phone message when they're trying to prevent
Carol.
Carol, thank you, from going upstairs to use the bathroom. They wanted to use the one in the coffee shop.
Good call. A lot of bathroom talk. So George says that they should go see Jerry's friend Roy, which Jerry never really promised, that Roy would be involved in this, getting the notes and whatnot. George argues that the massage was $75, though, and he can't really afford it since he's not working. So Jerry eventually caves, and we move to Roy's office.
Prior to the scene in the dentist's office, there was an additional scene that was shot. It was a reception scene, and it was cut prior to broadcast. George was sitting next to a very handsome man, and they made eye contact. While this was going on, Jerry was making small talk with Pam, and they were establishing, Pam, the receptionist, look at that. They were establishing that Pam was Roy's wife.
I watched this deleted scene. It's on the DVDs, and it's a good call that it was cut because it doesn't really do anything other than just, hey, George is uncomfortable being next to a guy. And if anything, there's like no laughter whatsoever. So if they were going to use it, they would have to have added maybe some laugh tracks. But I feel like it also sets up that Roy's wife, Pam, works at the office.
Yes.
Because, without this scene, I always found it a little confusing later on when, Jerry talks to Pam and how she's really angry at Jerry for screwing over Roy. I don't think it's really clear that that's Roy's wife.
Oh, yeah, because you're right. Because it doesn't come back until after she leaves that, I love her, that it is. You're right.
You are missing a little bit of story there, but I don't think those scenes are that memorable, so maybe they figured they could lose this scene altogether. One interesting thing in the deleted scene, though, Jerry and George are waiting for Roy, and he comes out and he sees Jerry. He calls him Sign Man.
What do you say, Sign Man?
Now you put your wife to work.
Hey, 3 kids, 2 dogs,
Oh.
We've never heard that term used by anyone.
Yeah, we've only heard Sign, we've heard Jerry, and now Sign Man.
But especially from someone that's not like Jerry himself or one of the 4. Like an outsider giving Jerry a nickname.
And we don't, you're right. And we don't know the nature of their relationship, if they're just patient dentists. Do they play softball together? Does he come out to the comedy clubs? Who knows?
So we move to Roy's office, and I don't know about you, but does it seem a little cluttered? There's like stuff everywhere.
And who has a picture of Evander Holyfield in their office? But anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah, it kind of felt like someone's like home office more than a work office. Jerry's a little nervous in this scene. He's a little hesitant to ask Roy for the note, and there's a lot of back and forth with him and George about how Roy feels until Roy ultimately says he'll do it. And at this point, Vinny, this is when George notices the Evander Holyfield poster.
Holyfield. He's a good friend of one of my patients. He's got a hell of a body, doesn't he?
How would I know?
You like it?
What do you mean, like him?
Do you like him?
I mean, he's a good fighter and a nice guy, but I don't like him.
How come you don't like him?
Why should I?
What is the matter with you?
Nothing. Why? You think something's wrong? Am I different?
Does Roy remind you of anyone? Like another actor or...
In Seinfeld?
Yeah, like there's something about his face that just reminds me of another actor, and I can't put my finger on it.
I couldn't think of anybody, although his hair kind of stuck out at me.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if any listeners out there were reminded of another actor when they saw Roy, let us know, because it's really bugging me. I'm trying to figure it out. Next scene, we're at Jerry's apartment, and again, he's on the phone with the physical therapy office. There's no appointments at all. He wants to at least talk to Juliana so he can apologize. He understands that they're kind of pushing him out.
And he knows why they're avoiding him, because he was mouthing off about the abduction in Pennsylvania and how this is really helping. So he knows what he did.
I think Jerry did sort of like overstep and say too much, but it is really bizarre that this physical therapy office, I don't know, they're being so extreme, like cutting him off completely.
Well, it's a woman whose child has been threatened from her point of view, so I get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, there is a lovely piece of physical comedy between Jerry and Elaine here, and I wonder if this was, written into the script or this just happened in rehearsals, but Elaine is already sitting on the couch. She's comfortable. She's established. Jerry's standing up on the phone. He goes to sit down, and there's not enough room on the edge of the couch for him. So he is nudging and motioning to Elaine to move over. And she's like, what? Finally, he gets her to move, and her dress gets caught underneath, Jerry's legs, and she finally gets free, but then she looks really peeved that he made her move, and she starts like flicking her teeth with her nail.
Yeah, this is the stuff that when I realized Elaine just seems a little, just a little tougher, a little more angry than usual.
The acid tongue?
Yeah, it's just like there's some unresolved issue between the two of them, which obviously it could be the events from the deal, but Kramer enters and he talks about how he saw Joe DiMaggio at the donut shop again.
Hey. I saw DiMaggio in the donut shop again.
Yeah.
Joe DiMaggio?
Joe DiMaggio. This time I went in and I sat down across from him and I really watched him. I studied his every move. For example, he dunks.
Joe DiMaggio dunks his donut?
That's right.
See, now I know it's not him. Joe DiMaggio could not be a dunker.
Oh, he's a dunker.
Why couldn't he be a dunker?
And nothing diverts his attention. Like I'm, like I'm sitting in there, and I start banging on the table, to, so that he'll look up, like I'm sitting there, and I, he wouldn't move. So then I started doing these yelping noises, like, no reaction, because the guy is so focused, you see. He can just block out anything that's going on around him. See, that's how he played baseball. He dunks like he hits.
So then what?
Well, then the waitress, she comes up and she tells me to shut up or they're going to throw me out.
Now, it's funny, Vinny, you mentioned the actors in the pilot from season 4 use the deal material and the I Think It Moved, and now this is...
Oh, I did not even remember that.
I'm sorry, Martin Van Nostrand uses audition as Kramer before he gets some stomach issues.
And I love how Van Nostrand's delivery is as if he's on inside the actor's studio.
And we use this a lot, I think, but this time I went in.
Yeah. Oh. It's also really nice when Kramer gets a nice long monologue. Like when he tells the story of, hijacking the bus from the guy who tried to hold it up, and he's got the pinky toe on ice. He's got a nice meaty chunk of dialogue that he can put out there. And this reminds me of that as well, which he doesn't get too often. But
he really doesn't.
Michael Richards does really well when he gets a big, when he's telling a story.
There's a weird moment during, Kramer's story here where Elaine gets really excited and she's like,
Joe DiMaggio dunks his donut?
That's right.
She gets so, excited. It's like, really? Is it that big a deal?
Yes, it is.
It is. George enters at this point with a ripped pant leg. He's bleeding. I love this part where Jerry just says, "What happened to you?"
Yeah.
It's first of all, it's very Seinfeld, just the delivery.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at this kind of like as a rhythm and the patterns from show to show, this just feels quintessential Seinfeld. All 4 characters in the apartment, and they each enter on cue, and they have a story to tell.
Right.
Which I don't really care what people say, oh, this is what the show's all about, but we really haven't seen it that much in the first 18 episodes.
This is what the show will become, and here's where we're getting the origins of.
Yeah, just this great this great pattern of having all the characters in Jerry's apartment, whining about their dates or, what just happened.
George explains that he was jumping over a puddle, and for some reason he went like this, and his arms out as if he's kind of doing like a Broadway move, it looks like. They describe it as a ballet motion. But these kids called him a Mary, so he chased him and he tripped and he fell. And Kramer, being the unfiltered pod that he is, says, well, kids, they can be very perceptive. And you see George in the background look up. So that's good there as well. But and then Elaine, she proceeds also to make fun of him. George, what is this? What is this? And she starts doing the motion as well.
Again, ratcheting up these characters, just enjoying each other's misfortune.
This seems more sweet, though, and there is a little bit of concern, as if, when George comes back from the bathroom, Elaine reaches out to help him clean up his wounds. Yeah. You notice she kind of reaches out and George shakes his head and does it himself. But yeah, I do agree. This becomes a pattern of constantly ribbing and always turning the screws on each other.
The phone rings. Jerry answers it. It's Roy. And after the phone call, Jerry goes on to explain that he's under investigation for insurance fraud. And we get such a weird moment here right before the act break. It's like a close-up of Kramer just singing Joltin' Joe DiMaggio.
Remember when AOL came out and we all had to pick our usernames? I had two, but one of them was Joltin Joe D. Joltn Joe, and then the letter D. And that was purely based on this episode.
Nice.
And I played baseball growing up, so I was a big fan.
That was early on too, like AOL.
I'm old school. Orthodox, Jerry.
All right, let's take a short break.
Here's Joe DiMaggio.
For the special people on your gift list, giving Mr. Coffee is the delicious way to say Merry Christmas. Everyone would love to have Mr. Coffee. It's America's #1 coffee maker. Mr. Coffee with Coffee Saver brews delicious coffee fast, and it saves coffee, too. When you give Mr. Coffee for Christmas, every delicious cup will be a reminder of your thoughtfulness for years to come. This Christmas, give Mr. Coffee.
Okay, we're back.
So we're still in the same scene here in Jerry's apartment. And this is kind of interesting because remember back to The Stranded, there was a point where Jerry and Elaine were having a conversation at the house in Long Island. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of their conversation, they interrupted it with a bit of stand-up comedy.
You're right, yeah.
And it was like the only time stand-up comedy interrupted a conversation.
Broke up a scene, yeah.
You know, it's not like a commercial break is interrupting a really long scene like the Chinese restaurant or the alternate side. Like they're literally in the middle of a conversation here.
Yeah, and it's noticeable. While watching it, I noticed, and I even put in my notes, it's a scene break, which is rare.
So at this point, Jerry starts laying into George for making him get the notes, and Roy could lose his license. He has a house, a family, and things just start escalating altogether when Elaine explains that she got a note from her gynecologist, so Jerry didn't even need to get the third note.
And Elaine had never mentioned she was going to do that. We never knew that Elaine was going to partake in this as well. But again, this is all George is doing. He's the one who started this because of his sixth sense.
Kramer interrupts the argument here, and this is very Kramer, where he asks, how could you do something like that to Roy in this example? And right before he leaves, is this the first?
Oh, yeah. It is, but it's more of a subdued oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Usually it's, oh, yeah, like that.
It is the first one, though, right?
I agree. I also like how he gets up to walk away, and it looks like he's just going to walk out, and then he turns abruptly and will say, how could you do this to your friend? So he's not even affiliated with this storyline, but he still feels the need to, inject his 2 cents that he knows nothing about.
I got the vibe that he didn't even see Roy, but
no.
As we find out from the last scene, he does. He knows him.
You're right. Good call.
So we then cut to Roy's office. We're technically back to the waiting room. We haven't seen this waiting room yet, but it's pretty much the exact same from the deleted scene. So similar to the deleted scene that the guy sitting on the couch is the exact same guy in the exact same spot he was, I guess, a day or two prior when Jerry and George were there. He was wearing kind of like a weird Cosby sweater, but now he's wearing a jacket.
Mm-hmm. One other thing. So in the scene, we see Pam again, or actually we see Pam again, right? Because
that's the first time we've seen her.
We're introduced to Pam, who we're going to find out is Roy's wife. Pam is played by Liz Georges. She's got an S at the end there. She has no other notable credits, other than Seinfeld. But she was also in Mighty Joe Young with Flo DeRay, who was the receptionist at Joanna's office.
Really?
So we have two Seinfeld alums coming together in Mighty Joe Young.
That's so random.
I know it's a stretch, but I found it interesting. Also,
that is interesting.
Yeah. This actress, though, Liz Georges, she reminds me of the waitress in the Bubble Boy episode. She's like, don't I know you? Don't you play on TV?
Yeah, I can see that.
There's a similar quality going on there.
I'd argue she has more of a Katya thing going on in The Gymnast.
Yeah, Katya! With that Uma Thurman kind of hairdo from Pulp Fiction.
So Pam's not being very friendly, Roy enters the scene, and it's a bit awkward as he invites them back to where he's dealing with a patient who's under. And in Roy's office in the dentist chair, very odd just character placement. You know, you have this very crowded office and this...
That's not a violation of patient privacy or anything, having two strangers sit in during your dental procedure.
Yeah, I don't know what the ethics are of being a dentist. I mean, I would say if Roy and his wife were having sex while the patient were under, it would be a little weird.
You know, they like to swap.
Swap, yeah. And, you know, maybe it's being influenced by all of the Tim Whatley scenes later. We only have a handful of them, but this setting just feels so familiar.
Yeah.
That I kind of wish this was Bryan Cranston, Tim Whatley.
Ooh.
Just for continuity purposes. But
I was going to say, can we reshoot these?
Special edition.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it makes sense that this isn't Whatley, because I'd assume that Roy and Jerry have a bit of a falling out.
Which makes perfect sense, yeah. Now, Pam walks, back and forth, keeps interrupting. She originally wasn't supposed to be in the scene, and those interruptions were supposed to come from Roy.
Right, so every time she's like, I hope you're happy, it makes a lot more sense that this is coming from Pam, I think. Because Roy seems to be, not the pushover, but a lot more understanding of the situation.
He's not even mad at all. He's just, he's being, he's not upset like she is.
And there's this great line in this conversation where, George says he's never happy, and George says, in college, maybe. Those were fun times.
Yeah, college is fun.
Made me think of us since we met in college, but I never realized that Jerry and George went to college together.
So, Queens College?
I'd assume.
Okay.
I think Jerry wears a Queens College shirt.
He most certainly does.
Right, so they are Queens College graduates, we assume.
Mm-hmm.
Elaine went to Tufts. I doubt. Oh,
Kramer was in the military. He's got a military discharge.
But he has the high school...
equivalency. He likes fruit. And he got a new haircut.
And you mentioned that originally it was Roy who was going to be shouting out all these things that Pam was. Also, originally, the dental patient was supposed to be awake.
That's right.
For the scene.
She was.
I'm just wondering, do you think it would have been a little funnier to have her going, if Roy's throwing out these insults, Jerry and George are trying to defend themselves, to have someone in the middle that's kind of looking back and forth? Is that funnier than having her under?
I actually think having her under is funnier because they're not supposed to be back there. You know what I mean? And then when she wakes up, she's completely just disoriented. What is going on? And George, what the hell's with George going, how you doing?
What else do you say?
I guess. The dental patient is played by Dale Rao. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Did she look familiar to you at all?
No.
I know we got a lot of Office throwbacks today, so I apologize. But she played the receptionist who filled in for Pam when Pam went to New York to study graphic design. She played the receptionist Ronnie.
Wow.
Yeah, and
random,
right? This is like an all receptionist episode of Seincast.
So Roy's pretty laid back about this whole thing and says the next step is to get the physical therapist to go along with their story, which is that the complaint was related to a dental problem. And of course, Jerry gets a little nervous about this since his relationship with his physical therapist isn't very good. Mm-hmm. We cut to the physical therapist waiting room, and Jerry arrives, cuts through the BS, knows that Juliana is mad at him, but he really has to speak with her, and suddenly Juliana walks by with her son Billy.
She brings him in real tight to her.
Hi, look, I don't know what you think, but you see, let me just talk to you for a second. See, what I did is inadvertently sent an insurance...
I treated you, so please, just get out of the office.
But can't you just listen to me?
Run, Billy! Run to the office and close the door! Call the police!
The police?
What is the... Hi, George.
Hello.
Raymond?
Now, did you see that kid sprint away?
He was fast.
Damn! He reminds me of a young Jerry Seinfeld.
Well, funny that you would mention that, Vinny. Billy is actually, in real life, Jerry's nephew, Joshua. This is really cool. I have these a lot of behind-the-scenes photos.
Mm-hmm.
You do as well, but yours are in book form.
Mine are in a book, which you gave me. Thank you.
There's this really cool photo in this book. It's called Sign Off that everyone can buy on Amazon. It's really cheap, and if you're whether you're a Seinfeld purist or you just want a little new bit of Seinfeld material in your life, there are these just awesome black and white behind-the-scenes photos from the last season of Seinfeld.
Beautiful.
Probably the last few episodes, I think.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Jerry with his sister and his nephew, Joshua, and this is, I think, after filming the finale, and Jerry's reading a note from Johnny Carson about the show.
Okay.
But you can see at least Joshua now 7 years older. So
I'm watching the episode. I see this kid, Billy. I look him up on IMDb, and I see his name is Joshua. His only acting credit is Seinfeld. 1992, plays Billy in Seinfeld. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then for some reason, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if this kid is trying to pick up girls? And he's like, well, I was Billy in Seinfeld in the note. But then it scrolls across the screen that he was Jerry's nephew. And I said, wow, what a small world. And now it makes sense that this kid's not an actor. They just wanted to have him in a scene, which I think is great.
Yeah, totally. So we get this very familiar scene. It's the group all together in either Jerry's apartment, in this case, Monk's, kind of licking their wounds, right? They've all
been through it this time.
Yeah, they've all been through it. They're all dealing with the fallout of their poor decisions this episode. This time they're in a back booth,
right,
talking about how, I guess Roy he's only facing a 6-month probation, but
it's a slap on the wrist.
I would assume though that's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
I would think so. Anything that's going to mess with your license and your ability to practice is going to be a big deal. So probation, I would think he can still work, but he's going to be under close scrutiny.
Long story short, I think it is safe to assume, especially since we don't see Roy, that their relationship is fractured.
Yeah.
George mentions that men have been popping into his sexual fantasies. All of a sudden, he'll be in the middle of...
Of what? Oh.
And you mentioned this at the top of the show, right?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if I just kind of zoned out when I watched this episode in the past, but it never occurred to me that the middle meant masturbation. Because everybody, praises the contest as being I was alone, as that's the most recognizable reference to masturbation. But the middle is as powerful,
Right.
And it's the look that Elaine and George share back and forth that made me say, oh my goodness, that's what he's referring to. I thought he was just, dreaming or had a fantasy that men were popping into. Mm-hmm. But I guess I just zoned out. So, man, they were ahead of its time, one season early.
And it's really the amount of attention you put on something like this. Like if there were a 5-minute scene talking about masturbation,
yeah, you're right.
It either would have gotten more attention or it would have been more of like a milestone, like the contest. But I wonder if this is one of those. Not that it was a censor issue, but I wonder if this kind of went by the censors because it's so small.
Yeah.
And it's disguised really well. Mm-hmm. They don't say it, So George would go on to say that, a guy will appear in the middle of, and he'll argue with the guy, why are you here?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Hey, George, how's it going?
And you want to take this? There's definitely a Curb parallel here.
Oh, are we talking about Larry when he's in the middle and he all of a sudden Susie, his best friend and manager's loud wife, pops in?
Well, yeah, if you back it up a little bit, the reason that happens is because this is in season 4, episode 3, The Blind Date. Jeff, Larry's manager, tells Larry while they're waiting for the elevator how he was masturbating, and Cheryl popped in. That's Larry David's wife.
Mm-hmm. And Larry was just disgusted. He's like, I'm freaking nauseous by that.
Yeah, how could you masturbate to my wife?
Yeah.
But it's so funny because they're such good friends. Jeff is like, what? What's the big deal?
He's like, you should be flattered. He's like, flattered? I'm nauseous. He's like, do me a favor. Next time she pops in, zip your pants up and walk out of the room. But yeah, you're right. And then later on in the episode, Larry is trying to get in the middle, and Susie, Jeff's wife, pops in, and Larry just despises Susie. So there's no reason why she would pop in.
I'd say Susie popping into Larry's fantasies is equivalent to men popping into George's fantasies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So then they look out the window, and you hear Jerry goes, hey, it's the K-Man. So we got Sign Man and K-Man. They're superheroes. Yeah. Kramer comes in, and I didn't realize this, but first appearance of Kramer in Monks.
Yeah. You think it would be met with some fanfare, like, oh my God, this is crazy, but We're just so used to seeing these characters here.
Yeah.
It could easily go unnoticed.
And which it did. In the first draft, though, it's worth noting that Kramer came in and he gave the Evander Holyfield poster to George from Roy's office, and Roy had asked Kramer to pass it along. Now let's analyze this. What was Roy's motive in passing this along to George? Was it out of spite or anger, or was it out of George having such a reaction to the poster?
I don't see how it could be spite or anger, because if I had an Evander Holyfield poster signed, I'd want to keep that.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't want to give that to anyone. So I think Roy just might be a really nice guy, but as to his motives, it just doesn't add up.
Yeah, because if we're gonna suppose that there's no more dinner invitations forthcoming and Roy and Jerry are gonna have a falling out, he most certainly would also be upset with George, because George is the one who started this whole thing.
Right.
We don't know if Roy was aware of George's insecurity with homophobia, and that's why he reacted the way he did in the office.
It's sort of like the ends don't justify the means, or vice versa. Yeah, like it means to an end. While it would be funny, they just didn't earn that joke.
Yeah.
It seems like, which is, I guess, why it was cut.
Yank it like you're starting a mower. So yeah, Kramer sits down. He says he just come from Roy's, and as he says this, all Jerry, George, and Elaine, they're bringing their coffee mugs up to their lips to have another sip. Kramer says, "I threw it from the gas," and you can see each one of them kind of recoil in disgust at that line. So they all put their coffee cups down at the same time.
Suddenly, Jerry notices someone off screen, and everyone looks.
Oh my God! It's Joe DiMaggio. We're having a cup of coffee.
And he's dunking.
Yeah. Look at him. The Yankee Clipper.
Yeah.
Here.
You see? Now that is a handsome man. Oh, please.
Wait.
I told you.
Such a weird shot of Joe. Obviously, it's like a stand-in actor, but God, this is really nitpicking. But chances are, if you've made it this far,
you must like
episode,
the nitpicking if you're staying around. So thank you for that.
The angle at which they look across the room, I don't think it lines up with where Joe would be sitting, because Joe's sitting at the counter.
Right.
When they do like a shot of his midsection and the dunking the donut.
Yeah.
They're looking more off towards the booths where they normally sit.
And the only logical explanation would be that he'd be at the end of the counter, and you know how there's that one solo seat and then it curves around? Because there's one seat at the counter that's curved by itself, and then it curves all the way around to that straight shot.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like where they put the Kramer turkey.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but even then, it'd have to be more of a profile shot, or a sidal shot, not a frontal. So it doesn't work, and I didn't even notice that until you said that. So that is a good pickup.
Sorry, I was running a little thin, I felt, on nitpicks this episode.
Nitpick away.
All right, and our last scene is a bit of stand-up.
What causes homophobia? What is it that makes a heterosexual man worry? I think it's because men know that deep down we have weak sales resistance. We're constantly buying shoes that hurt us, pants that don't fit right. Men think, obviously, I could be talked into anything. What if I accidentally wander into some sort of homosexual store thinking it's a shoe store, and the salesman goes, just hold this guy's hand, walk around the store a little bit, see how you feel. No obligation, no pressure, just try it. Would you like to see him in a sandal?
I'm not a huge fan of the stand-up. It's good. I kind of agree that men can be talked into anything sales-wise, so I see where he's kind of pulling from that to equate it to men's fear of homosexuality, but it's kind of loose. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's okay. You know, I'm not like, oof, no laughs. Sometimes Jerry's stand-up doesn't have to be hilarious for me to like it. Sometimes it can just be a very clever analogy.
Oh, that's funny.
That's funny. But yeah, all in all, this isn't like too memorable to take us out, but it is nice that it at least ties into the episode a little bit.
And there are no homosexual stores. It's just a little bit confusing.
And something that they do, I think for the first time in Seinfeld, is they play a different...
Outro music,
right, over the credits. It's not the Seinfeld theme, thank God, in this situation. This is the Joltin' Joe DiMaggio song that Kramer is singing. And I kind of wish they did that more often. They do it sometimes, you're right. Like they do, I don't know the movie, the John Voight movie, when I ain't going to no Bellevue. What is that? What song is that? It's...
not Midnight Cowboy.
No, it's from Midnight Cowboy, but the song's called Everybody's Talking.
Yeah. Can't hear a word they're saying. Just driving around in John Voight's car.
Kramer! All right, what do you say we get into ratings, Vinny?
Yes.
So, what do you think?
Watching this episode, I did enjoy it, but I wasn't gaga. That music really put me in a negative place just in my life, starting when I hit the play button.
I got that sense this episode.
I was agitated.
That song just ruined it for you.
Yeah, that episode was good. It didn't feel like the strongest episode to start a season with. That's another thing I guess I thought I put it in a perspective of. I like the storylines. I like that George kind of was the one responsible for this. We still saw some character traits of him with the being cheap and the homophobia. Everybody had decent storylines. This is the first time we saw Kramer kind of get into something on his own, like something that was purely for him and he had to deal with. And there were those classic scenes that we talked about that come back to be referenced in the pilot episode in season 4. So I really like that. I like that these are some quintessential Seinfeld scenes that everyone knows. But just as a whole, the episode was kind of forgettable for me in a way. But I'd probably give it a 9 if that music wasn't there. So I'm going to give it 7 pulled hamstrings out of 10.
Damn.
That was just for the sake of the rating. But no, I was going to give it a 7 regardless. But,
Really? It's interesting that this episode would rate so low with you because, some episodes I've given a 7.
Yeah.
You've been, very generous and given them 8.5s, maybe 9s in some cases. But yeah, I disagree with you a little bit on just my overall feelings about this episode. I don't think it's really that bad of an episode. I wouldn't classify it as, again, one of the classics through and through, but there's just so much great material here, especially from the George plot line. Elaine doesn't actually have a plot line at all this episode.
No, she's a sidekick.
Yeah, she really has nothing really to work with. But I think the fact that, if Larry hadn't referenced this material from this episode in the pilot from season 4 during the auditions, I wonder if I would have liked this episode as much as I do. There's just something about it. It feels like it kind of rises above sort of the forgettable episodes into something that everyone remembers. Oh, yeah, when George got a massage.
Yeah.
Or, oh, yeah, Joe DiMaggio, Dinky Donuts. There's some really, memorable stuff here.
That's true.
I think the show's evolving, though,
Yeah.
with this first episode of season 3. And since we've spent so much time with the earlier episodes, part of me relates to how you feel about this episode. I feel a little turned off. There's just something about the show that's changing that
we're giving up something.
Yeah, it is weird. You're sacrificing something to get, I think, more of what Seinfeld is known for. There are, I think, some real stinkers this season. Funny episodes, don't get me wrong, and we love them, but some ones coming up in the next couple of weeks that I'd be fine never watching them for the next couple of years and just sticking with my favorites. This, however, I think kind of rises above most of the stinkers in season 3. We get some, I think, just great material with George's homophobia, from the massage scene to, I think it moved. The only thing that kind of bugs me about this episode, or the two things, are that Elaine doesn't really have anything to do, and I also don't really care much for the Roy storyline with the note. Pretty much what the whole episode is resting upon plot-wise.
Yeah.
it's really dull and boring. You're supposed to feel bad for Roy, and like this is a real issue, but Roy never seems to be that upset about it.
Yeah, he's kind of a lukewarm character. He's just going through it. So maybe that could be the actor. Maybe what if Bryan Cranston had played it? Who knows? We don't know.
Who knows? And it just winds up to be a slap on the wrist. So there's really no consequences in a sense for, Jerry's actions.
Yeah.
So really the only thing I would argue that this episode has going for it is the George storyline. Every scene George is in is awesome. However, it gets a little repetitive by the end to the point where you're like, all right, we get it, being turned on by a man, what have you, that I could see how it gets a little like stale for people by the end. Nonetheless, I love, I don't know how to say this, but I love homophobic George. I'm sorry. I love insecure George. I love it whenever George is really feeling weak and pathetic when he really shouldn't. I just love that kind of stuff. So all in all, I think I'll give this 8 DiMaggio Dinky Donut Decaf Dunks out of 10.
And a good rating.
All right, so that's going to do it for us at Seincast. Vinny, let everyone know how they can get in touch with us.
Sure thing, buddy. Email us at seincast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook and like us. And follow us on Twitter at Seincast, where we'll be posting those stills we talked about earlier and just anything that strikes our fancy throughout the week.
And also, if you haven't already, if you could please leave us a rating and review on iTunes. The more feedback we get, the more likely other Seinfeld fans will find out about this show. So what episode do we have next week, Vinny?
Next week, we're discussing the second episode of Season 3, The Truth. And yes, Matt, it is your earrings.
But for now, I'm Matt.
I'm Vinny.
Signing off.
Seinecast is not endorsed by Castle Rock Entertainment, Sony Pictures, or NBC, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The official Seinfeld site can be found at sonypictures.com/TV/Seinfeld. Seinfeld, the Seinfeld logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Seinfeld characters are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Castle Rock Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders.
Oh, the hamstring's fine.
But you wrote that it was tender.
I wrote.